Chapter 16. I just sat there on the stage looking up at Mr. Purvis while he held Artful by the collar. "I mean it, Baldy," Artful said. "Let go of the collar." Mr. Purvis's jaw dropped. Did I just hear? The way he was looking at Artful, I knew he was going to blurt it out right in front of the whole school about Artful talking. He was the only one close enough to tell where the sound was coming from. In a split second, I went from Josh Buckner, quiet kid who nobody ever notices, to Josh Buckner, juvenile delinquent. "You heard me, Baldy," I growled in a low voice like Artful's. "Let the dog go." Mr. Purvis's eyes narrowed. "You and your parents will be in my office first thing tomorrow morning. Is that understood?" "You're not a nice person," Artful said. "I don't like you." I grabbed Artful and clamped my hand over his muzzle. Mr. Purvis motioned for the curtains to close. "You're only making things harder on yourself, Josh." Dougie came running over to us. "What happened? We weren't finished with our act." "Oh, you're finished, all right," Mr. Purvis said. "And don't bother coming back on the stage for the judging because you're disqualified." The curtain opened again and Mr. Purvis called everyone but us back to the stage. Lester got a lot of applause for his Shakespeare act, but when Emily, Lisa, and Kara came out, the place went nuts. "Where's the dog?" someone yelled. Then they started chanting, "We want the dog! We want the dog!" "Do they mean me?" Artful asked. Dougie patted his head. "Who else? Go out there and take a bow, buddy." When Artful pranced up to the girls, Kara gave him her baton and he made a big circle around them, his tail wagging like a victory flag. There was no question about it. Emily's act got 10 times more applause than anyone else's. Just then, Brian came back. He still looked a little bit green. "How did it go?" I didn't know how to even start explaining what had happened, so I just shook my head. "They're voting now. Why aren't you guys out there?" "Don't even ask," Dougie said. Mr. Purvis handed Emily the trophy, and they all took another bow. Then Artful bounded back to us like he was on wings. "They liked me! Haha, they really liked me!" Emily was just far enough behind him that she hadn't heard. "Get ready to follow orders for a whole week, Brian. We won and you lost." "We didn't lose," said Dougie. "We were disqualified." The way he said it, you'd have thought it was some kind of honor. "What did you say to Mr. Purvis anyway, Josh?" Kara asked. "He looked really mad." They hadn't heard? That was a relief. I was still in a whole heap of trouble at school, but at least half the school didn't know that I had called the principal Baldy. "You didn't win the bet," Brian said, "because you called it off when you thought Artful had ruined your act. Remember? So the deal is off." Kara reached down to scratch Artful behind his ear. "Artful didn't ruin our act. He actually made us win. Now nobody has to order anybody around. It turned out well for all of us." Everyone but me, that is. I couldn't explain to Mom and Dad what had happened without giving away Artful's secret. In the meeting on Tuesday morning with Mr. Purvis, I answered most of their questions by saying, I don't know. They finally chalked it up to temporary insanity brought on by stage fright, and I was grounded for a month.